Hey there, innovation champions. Melissa Dinwiddie here. I used to think that being a good leader meant having all the answers, knowing exactly what to do in every situation, being the smartest person in the room. Boy, was I wrong. Back in November, when I was faced with a choice, do I start up a grassroots democracy group or not? I certainly did not have all the answers. The path ahead was foggy at best, completely dark at worst. And it would have been so easy to just say no, to wait until I had more clarity, more resources, more certainty. But instead, I leapt into the void. And you know what? I still don't have all the answers. But the remarkable team that has sprung up around me inevitably figures it out together. And this experience has taught me something really profound about leadership and innovation that I never quite fully understood before. Your habits as a leader, how you show up, how you respond to uncertainty, how you interact with your team, all of this shapes the innovation potential of your entire organization far more than any formal innovation strategy ever could. So let me show you what I mean by introducing you to our accidental innovation team. So first we have who I will call W. That is our operations expert. And they're always just uber organized and keeping us on track with systems and processes. And they're also our number one worrier, always pointing out how things could go wrong. And, thank goodness for that, because this necessary perspective helps us plan accordingly. And then there is X. I will call them X. And X is the advocate for our organization's health, always reminding us that those overhead expenses that a lot of people don't like to donate to nonprofits for, like, for example, comfortable meeting space for our monthly member meetings. These are not a necessary evil, but they're actually really essential for a happy, healthy organization. And then there's Y. So we got W, X, Y. And Y is always thinking about how what we do is a model for others. And they keep us focused on the bigger picture and how our actions impact the broader community. And then there's me. Maybe I'm Z in this picture here. And I am the big picture thinker who is always tracking also a ton of detail. So I've got the big picture thing going in. I'm also very detail oriented. And you won't be surprised to learn that I filter everything through the lens of connection and fun and play and joy. So we say very often that we are building the plane as we fly it because, and also because we are growing so fast, we're having to build out systems and processes and policies while we're using them. And in fact, Y recently quipped that we're also writing the user manual for the plane at the same time that we're building it and flying it. But here's what fascinates me. Our ability to innovate on the fly isn't random. It's directly shaped by the habits that each of us brings to the table as leaders. So a meeting of those of us on the leadership team typically looks something like this. So W will ask why something was done a certain way before we had established systems and processes and policies, and maybe even before we had a leadership team. So I will then share the history of why things happened, And then W will suggest that we reverse course. And then X will suggest an alternative option. And then Y will yes and that suggestion and offer another idea, building on that. And then I will yes and that suggestion and bring in some additional context. And then W will revise their thinking and offer more suggestions, and so on and so on. Just continually yes-anding each other until we find ourselves innovating a solution that everyone agrees is a win-win for everybody. And this pattern repeats itself again and again. And I've realized that, guess what? No surprise if you've been watching any of my videos or followed me at all on LinkedIn, it maps perfectly to my Create the Impossible framework. So let's go through the framework, which, if you've been following me at all, you know it has 3 steps. The first step is play hard. And here we're talking about creating space for creative collision. So yes, the first element of my Create the Impossible framework is play hard. And that's all about embracing a spirit of exploration and playfulness in your approach to challenges. So in our team, this happens really naturally because we have this habit, these habit patterns that we've established. When W brings up a concern and X counters with an alternative perspective, we're not shutting each other down. We are playing with possibilities. And this habit of yes-anding each other, this concept of yes and from improv, accepting and building on each other's ideas, rather than yes butting. By the way, yes but is basically just no in a party dress. This habit of yes anding rather than yes butting, it's not accidental. It's something I consciously model as a leader, and it has now become a team habit. So think about your own leadership habits for a moment. When someone brings up a concern or a wild idea, what is your default response? Do you immediately point out the flaws, or do you build on their thinking, even if you ultimately go in a different direction? The habit of building rather than blocking creates a play space where innovation naturally emerges. So that's step 1, play hard. Step 2 of my framework is make crap. And here we're talking about the power of imperfect solutions. So yeah, the second element of my framework is all about giving ourselves permission to create imperfect first drafts rather than waiting for perfection. And our grassroots organization embodies this perfectly. Our initial systems were, frankly, pretty crude. Our first meeting agenda was a hastily scribbled outline. Our first communication system, a basic email list. But instead of waiting until we had everything figured out, we jumped in and started creating. We embraced the messiness of growth, and we're still embracing it. It's still messy. And this wasn't accidental either. It was a direct result of leadership habits. By openly acknowledging when something I'd created wasn't working well, I modeled that it was safe for others to do the same. When was the last time that you, as a leader, openly acknowledged creating something that wasn't working? That habit of normalizing imperfection as part of the process, that creates psychological safety, and that is essential for innovation. So that's step 2. Step 3 of the Create the Impossible framework is learn fast. And here we're talking about the habit of adaptation. So this third element of the Create the Impossible framework, learn fast, is really turning every experience, especially failures, into learning opportunities. In our democracy group, This manifests in our habit of constant reflection and adaptation. So when something doesn't work as expected, we don't waste energy on blame or defensiveness. That's not going to help us. Instead, we immediately shift to what can we learn from this? And again, this isn't by chance. It's a leadership habit I have intentionally cultivated, responding to setbacks with curiosity rather than frustration. So think about your own response when things don't go as planned. Do you immediately look for who's responsible? Or do you ask what this experience can teach you? The habit of approaching challenges with curiosity rather than judgment creates an environment where innovation can flourish even from setbacks. So that's step 3 of the framework, learn fast. All right. So let's talk about breaking blind spots. And this is all about transforming your innovation habits. The fascinating thing about leadership habits is that they're often invisible to us. They're like the water we swim in or the air we breathe. We don't notice them because they're just how we do things. But these habitual patterns, how we respond to ideas, how we handle imperfection, how we approach setbacks, they shape our team's innovation potential more profoundly than any formal innovation process ever could. So, how do you transform these often invisible habits to foster more innovation? Well, here are 3 practical strategies. Audit your responses. For 1 week, pay really close attention to how you respond to ideas from your team. Note your initial reaction, your verbal reaction, and your nonverbal reaction. Are you building or are you blocking? And look for patterns in when you tend to block rather than build. Second, practice public imperfection. Find opportunities to share your own works in progress with your team and be explicit about what's not working well. This is really important because it normalizes imperfection and it creates psychological safety for others to do the same. Third, reframe setbacks in real time. So the next time something doesn't go as planned, practice reframing it as a learning opportunity right in the moment. Ask, what can we learn from this? Before any discussion about what went wrong or who's responsible, start thinking about it as a learning opportunity. All right, the invisible revolution. What's most powerful about transforming your innovation habits is that it creates ripple effects throughout your organization without requiring massive change initiatives. When you consistently build on others' ideas rather than blocking them, team members start doing the same with each other. And when you openly share imperfect work, psychological safety increases across the organization. And when you approach setbacks with curiosity, a culture of continuous learning starts to emerge. These habits create the conditions where breakthrough innovations can flourish, not because you've mandated innovation, which is never going to work, but because you've created an environment where it naturally emerges. Remember, your team doesn't innovate because of what you say. They innovate because of what you do consistently, day after day. Your habits are the invisible revolution that transforms your organization's creative potential. So, what innovation habits are you modeling for your team today? Ready to transform how your organization measures and communicates innovation value? Click the link in the description to book a complimentary innovation strategy session. And let's explore how the Create the Impossible framework can help you develop a more complete picture of your innovation impact. If you found these alternative innovation metrics valuable, hit that like button and subscribe to join our community of innovation champions. Don't forget to ring that notification bell so you'll never miss a new strategy for driving innovation in your organization. I would love to know your thoughts on this topic. Leave a comment and let me know what you learned and what you discovered, and share your insights in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious, stay playful, and keep creating the impossible. See you next time. Ciao.